All right, Frankie from Flatbush here, reporting from the new and improved Frankie from Flatbush headquarters. Much better quarters to be headed inside of as we have moved to this new apartment, as we've spoken about before. But it's now Friday, March the 7th. We're on the verge of free agent frenzy about to start. But now is a little bit of a lull period. Some of the restricted free agents are getting signed and so forth. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a deep dive into Erik Korem. Who? You may have missed the news, but the New York Jets have hired Erik Korem. And this is a move that could transform the entire organization. And I'm not even kidding. It's not a new quarterback, it's not a new coach. That's right, it's the director of player performance. Uh, Now, before we get into why this is a big deal, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and consider joining the inner circle where you get exclusive stuff. That being said, let's take a look at Mr. Quorum in action. Here's a little video of his about stress and adaptability.
Yeah, I think the first thing to understand is let's create a right relationship with stress to start with. And I know that you've heard me say this before, but stress isn't the enemy, it's the gateway to growth. Stress is the only way that you get better at anything. You want to learn a new skill, you have to engage in the deliberate and stressful task of learning. You want to get stronger, you have to go lift heavier things. You want to get faster, it's all a stress on the human organism. The key is the right dose of stress and the right dose of rest. That helps you become more adaptable.
We take a look here. We see in the organizational structure that he's actually above our head strength and conditioning coach. That used to be Mike Nicolini. Now it's Corey Smith, and that's a guy that we got from the Lions. He was their assistant strength and conditioning coach. We made him our top guy, Corey Smith. But above him is Korem, who's the director of player performance. So Corey Smith is a guy where it's going to be like he's the one in the weight room counting the reps and all of that. But Korem is more of a strategic guy, and also goes well beyond. So he does have the background for strength and conditioning and so forth. But he's also sort of like a pioneer in the sports science space. He has a PhD in exercise science from the University of Kentucky, but he's also a former walk-on football player at Texas A&M, so AG's alma mater. So he knows the grind of being a football player firsthand. This isn't some brainiac, okay? And I had this idea of bringing on this type of guy, and I did a video about it earlier in the off season. I didn't know about him. But it was somebody like him who's a sort of a sports psychologist, but also this guy has a background in football. He's also worked with the Houston Texans in the NFL, Florida State, Kentucky, Nike, Olympians, even the U.S. Department of Defense. He's introduced sports science and athlete tracking technology, so he's also a technologist on top of everything else, to the NFL and college football. Over a decade ago, he founded AIM7, an AI-driven app for personalized fitness and recovery. So this guy isn't just a hire, okay? He's a high performance expert. He's been in the trenches. He's been on the cutting edge. This is a great, great hire. Now here's his website, Erik Korem. And what does he say? The first thing he says, here he is, smiley, smiley. He says, it's about being adaptable. Now, what is one of the main problems I have been harping on for the past the entire time Salah's been here, the Salah regime. One of the things was they're too stubborn. Ulbrich, Salah, the whole coaching staff, way too stubborn. They're not adaptable. And look, now we're bringing in a guy. It's about being adaptable. He says, I was raised to be thoughtful and creative, unquenchable curiosity, eagerness for knowledge. And now he's an expert and thought leader in high performance. You think we need that? Yes. Uncertainty and hardship are inevitable. Well, we've had plenty of that. And he helps people, and now he's going to help our players prepare for stress. We got plenty of that. Embrace and lean into it. From wanting more engaged relationships to starting a new venture, any area of life can be elevated, even the New York Jets. Now, of course, we have struggled with adaptability and being consistent and injuries over the years. He's our director of player performance, so injuries are also going to play into it. So, mindset, being adaptable, dealing with stress, but also the nutrition, the sleep, the workouts, and overcoming injuries, the prehab, the rehab, the hydration, all of that. And he's going to oversee that player conditioning, recovery, performance optimization using data and science. This guy is a technologist in addition to everything else. He invented a technology. Hello, how many of when did the Jets ever hire anybody who invented a technology? Okay, and so one of the things to keep in mind is that, for example, there's no correlation between penalties and making the playoffs for a team. There's no correlation. There's no statistical correlation between a lot of penalties and not making the playoffs, say, or having few penalties and making the playoffs. You would think that there is. And if you asked any football fan, the average football fan, they'd say, of course, the less penalties you have, the greater the chance you make the playoffs. Wrong, wrong. But there is a correlation between injury optimization and making the playoffs, meaning the least injured teams are most likely to make the playoffs. So controlling your injuries to whatever degree that you can is extremely important into making the playoffs, because football is a game of attrition. If you don't have your best players, doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to make the playoffs. And the other thing to keep in mind, at the end of the season, Sean Payton bragged about what a great job the Broncos did in limiting their playoffs, and he cited that as one of the key elements and reasons why they made the playoffs unexpectedly this year. So one thing to keep in mind, let's see if that's true. And if they did do something different, well, maybe Darren Muji can bring it over here. And maybe this is part of the plan to do just that, bringing in a guy like this, Erik Korem. Okay, this guy is a leading dude. He's on the cutting edge. And maybe this is part of Muji's plan for addressing injuries, which is a huge advantage. Like I said, it's been studied, and maybe I didn't make this clear. I had the study here at some point, but I got lost it in the move. There's a study, you can find it on the internet, where a very good study that looks at injuries, player injuries for the NFL over a period of time, and there is a statistical correlation with being the least injured teams making the playoffs. So that is statistically, academically proven. It's a fact. And now we got this guy, Korem here, and he's also known to focus on sleep and stress resilience. And we all know sleep is very important. I can tell you firsthand, one of the reasons I moved into this damn apartment was sleep reasons. Couldn't get any damn sleep at that other place. It was a whole long story. But anyway, that's important. And now with this new regime, we have this guy joining the staff. Perfect timing. Hopefully, we're going to reduce our injuries, have better conditioning. We're going to have a long-term vision for building a culture of performance. So if this works out and that's the case, and we're year after year keeping our injuries low, for example, then we can attract people to come here. That'll be a reason for them to come here. And so this is one of these things that I think is an early indication of what this regime is going to be able to do. Now, they haven't done anything yet, so fans are very, I think, apathetic, and there's not a lot of excitement about the Jets right now. But this is one situation where we can learn a little bit something about what the new regime is going to do. And if you're a Jets fan tired of the same old Jets, this hire right here shows they're serious about winning and not just talking about it. We could be the next team that really uses sports science to dominate, let's hope. And so, this might not be the type of thing that gets all the headlines and makes the average fan super happy, but this could be one of those quiet, small things that are actually quite large. So, what do you think? You think this guy's gonna make a difference, or he's just another bum? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section down below. If you're new here, please subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Think about joining Frankie's inner circle, where you get exclusive stuff, and my stuff, my exclusive stuff, is the best. All right, see you next time.